But Rob, we have talked about the NFL. Obviously, as we head into the playoffs after Week 18 coming up. We
Playoffs.
talked about the Pro Bowl and the quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy is a Pro Bowl quarterback in the NFC. And because the Niners have the first seed in the NFC locked up, just like the the Ravens in the AFC, the Niners are sitting. They have said they're going to sit Brock Purdy, and the Ravens have said they are going to sit Lamar Jackson. And Steve Young, the Hall of Famer, the great all-time great quarterback and all-time great 49er who won a Super Bowl with them as well, he has said that he thinks it's a bad idea for Brock Purdy to sit out Week 18. Here he is.
I don't like sitting out. It's not taking a week off. It's just I'd rather warm up, play a quarter, even a half, and be done. Like, that's the way to kind of stay with it. I don't feel like there's any, now you're going to get the next week off, so you're not going to play for 3 weeks. 21 days. That's just, from a quarterback spot, that's a hard restart. It takes a minute. I always said it takes every game you miss, it takes a half to kind of get fully back up to speed.
Yeah, interesting, Rob.
We've talked about this.
He also has been a great analyst too, so he knows what he's talking about. But go ahead.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and I'm going to agree with him for the most part that, and I understand that football's unlike most sports, Chris. The last thing you want is to have your quarterback playing in a game that doesn't matter anything, and then he gets hurt. Then you're like,
remember last year? It was a meaningful game, obviously. But he and all their quarterbacks got hurt.
and then people look at you and go, "What are he playing for?
Right.
There was nothing to play for. My God, can't we get him healthy?" It's a tough spot to be in. But I've seen guys come out rusty too after 3 weeks. 3 weeks is not natural once you've played a full season. It just isn't. We talked about the baseball, Chris. You play baseball for 6 straight months.
Every day, essentially.
Every day. And then the week before, then you have a week off before the playoffs start. You think that's good? I don't think that's good.
Nah, I'm with you, Rob, and I agree with Steve Young. I think, and there are a few reasons. Number one, as you said, 3 weeks off when you're used to playing every week is a lot. It's just a different rhythm. But also, Rob, and look, they're going to practice and it's relatively hard. Obviously, they're not going to be hitting and things like that. But there's nothing you can do, even if you were, and I know they won't, but even if you were to practice hard with hitting and things, you can't replicate the intensity of an NFL game. So that will be 3 weeks from the last time that you actually felt the intensity of an NFL game. Rob, you've done TV. And I'm on daily on First Things First. If we're off for 3 weeks, when you go back into the studio for that first show again, it feels a little odd. You do it and you're fine, but it takes you a moment or moments to really get back in a rhythm. It just feels different again.
It's reps. It's like anything else you do. It is.
And the thing is, Rob, in football, you heard Steve Young say you need a half to get back to being yourself. I feel like that's an overstatement, but again, he played. He knows what he's talking about. But, Rob, you don't have any room for error in the NFL playoffs.
No, and we've seen people fall behind and can't get it back.
If it takes you half a quarter, that's too much.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope because if somebody gets hurt, Chris, it's the end of the world, right? It just is.
You'll never hear the end of it.
If Patrick Mahomes played this Sunday and broke a leg, oh my, are you kidding? Are you?
Yep.
Like it would be terrible.
Yep.
And the same thing. You mean Lamar has his MVP year? They're 13-3, and they're playing in a meaningless game, and he just got hurt. Oh God!
And of course they bring up, he's been hurt the last 2 years.
Why would you play him?
How could you do that? The other thing, Rob, in relation to Purdy, And tell me where you are on this, but I feel like people forget, man, this dude is in his second year. His second year, and I get that they've got a lot of great players around him. There's no doubt. But he is in his second year. Other than Patrick Mahomes, we haven't seen a quarterback be in this type of playoff success, this early in his career. And I'm not saying it's all due to him, obviously. I mean, Dak, they made the playoffs when he was a rookie, and Lamar, made the playoffs and struggled, his first time there and stuff. So I'm not saying it's totally unprecedented, but I think people forget he didn't even start all of last season. This guy has started 21 games. That's not even a season and a half. That's another reason, Rob. I feel like just him getting his game reps is important. And what I would do is I would tell those guys they're playing, and then I would probably play them the first half, at least the first quarter. I would play him at least the first quarter. We'll see if we want to play him the full half. But I just think it'd be good for him to get some more reps. I'm not, look, he'll be okay if he doesn't, but this is a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. This is a guy that just 2 games ago had 4 interceptions and the worst game of his career. I think, look, he's strong-minded. He did fine last week. He played well. He bounced back. But I don't think it would hurt him, Rob, if he went out there and played a half and threw for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half.
Now, my only thing is if you're the 49ers and you feel like you have a team that has a chance to get to the Super Bowl, Chris, right, and you got all the other pieces parts, if he gets hurt, your dreams are gone. Right? When we say that, they would be gone overnight.
It's tough. That's why that's the argument for him just playing a half. I mean, sorry, a
series
quarter,
or 2,
or maybe even a series. I just feel like a series, you don't get anything out of that. I think what you get out of playing a series, Rob, is that the guys prepared all week. Like,
see, I was going to say, and Chris, your pregame warm up, your pregame work. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you got to gear up that you have to do. Because if you're going to take the field,
because you probably wouldn't tell him you're just playing
no, and you wouldn't go out there like your mentality is I'm prepared to play, right? So I got to be ready to play. So you don't go out there half cocked.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, the last thing you would want is for somebody to get hurt, and you would never live it down. I don't care who you are. You would be criticized. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, especially in these 2 situations, Rob, where both Lamar and Purdy were hurt last year.
Right.
So you would get crushed, and everybody talking about, you were clearly the best team in the conference. And
why would you do it? The game doesn't matter, and that's the problem when you play games that don't matter.
Right.
In the NFL.
Right. Yeah, it's a sport where when the games don't matter, we see it in college, right? We talked about it yesterday. I mean, when the games don't matter, it's hard to expect guys to be out there.
I'm going to be mad at players, right?
Right. They got
Caleb
money
Williams
on the
should play.
line.
Caleb Williams should play in a meaningless – this ain't for the national championship.
Right.
It's a meaningless bowl game. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
And he should play, and his whole future, they should play for the love of the game. Please. He's put in all that work to build himself up to that situation, and then you're going to let it – and there were players. Who was that guy from Michigan, Jake Butts?
Did he say they should be playing?
No, you remember? No, Jake Butts, Chris.
Oh, they got hurt.
That got hurt. Don't you remember that?
Yep, I do. Yep.
He got hurt in a bowl game.
Yep. Nah, you definitely don't want to do that. So it's interesting. We'll see. But they've said they're going to rest him. So apparently he is not going to play. So he won't get injured, which is good. But I guess you've got to try to make those practices as intense as you can, Rob, without real contact and stuff. So